So one of the things that happens in my projects is I try to bring a kind of idea to the table. It's a table that I hope brings people who are part of the community beyond the art space into the space of imagination and into the space of construction. And so as I visited Newcastle Gateshead beginning in the summer of 2022 and on multiple occasions over the last year, one thing that really struck me was the very strong relationship that the Baltic Center for Contemporary Art has with a lot of these community spaces that are seeking to be a kind of space for people who are in these spaces of waiting, asylum seekers, refugees, who are not allowed to work under their current status, but they long for community. And sometimes they're in resettlement situations that are far away from the city center. But these places like the Comfrey Project, or Scotswood Garden, or West End Refugee Services invite them to come and to be part of a community. And what do they do to really open up that space of community? They're doing garden-based activities. So as they are waiting to take root, they're allowing new life to take root. And they're able to harvest what it is that they plant. And they're able to cook together and to be with each other. And so I really learned from these things that were already happening in the city. And it's a testament to the exhibition space. It's a testament to the way in which this institution runs, where you have these incredible people, not only from the curatorial and programming side of things, but you also have the learning team who really have these strong relationships, and they run something called Language Cafe the first Saturday of every month, where they invite a lot of these same people who go to these community gardens to come in and to spend time at the Baltic and to have tea and to have meals and to sit with each other and to engage in activities or to just engage with each other. And so in a way, what I've tried to do with this project is to have it be a kind of nexus, a kind of hub that allows for all of those threads to come together, but hopefully lead the visitor out to those places as well, and to welcome new members of the city. And so it becomes, in a way, a laboratory for a new city to emerge. And one of the things that I quite love about the Baltic itself is when you take in this garden that we've all built together, you have a view of it from this mezzanine where you start to see a lot of these things make sense. And the aqueduct that we have in real space starts to line up with the aqueduct that's depicted in relief. And so you look out over this city, and then you go to the windows and you have this gorgeous view of Gateshead and Newcastle. And you kind of think about how that can be mapped on to the actual city. The Invisible Enemy Should Not Exist is a project that began in 2006, where my studio and I have been reappearing the more than 7,000 plus artifacts that are still listed as missing, stolen, or status unknown from the National Museum of Iraq. And the looting happened in the aftermath of the US-led invasion in 2003. All of our efforts to bring these things back is something that will never make us completely whole. But it is an act of reappearance that can be kind of translated to the experience of seeing a ghost. And so for somebody who misses the person that they've lived with, seeing the ghost can be reassuring. And for those who are responsible for their disappearance, it can do the haunting. And so for this project, there's a reappearance, but it isn't necessarily a reappearance that is something that was destroyed in the midst of war. In fact, it's something that is held in the British Museum, and it depicts the gardens of Nineveh, gardens that were built by Sennacherib and were maintained and written about by his grandson Ashurbanipal. And this particular relief is very beautiful in the sense that it shows this Beit Hilani, this structure that we see in the middle, and you see the king inside the structure. And it shows this long flowing terraced mountain, a simulated mountain that has all different kinds of trees depicted in relief. And we also see an aqueduct and lush waterways that are irrigating those gardens. And the British academic Stephanie Daly has done a lot of research on this particular site and has found and posited that it is perhaps the site of what everybody thinks were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And so for the Hanging Gardens of Babylon to be something that were never found, and the evidence of those gardens in Babylon itself is very scarce, it's been a site of imagination and proposition. And that potentiality is something that I always think is very, very powerful when we talk about how things could be different, how we might have propositions of how we could live together better. And having it be also something that in its legend is tied to homesickness was something that really interested me when I was asked to do the project here. The legend of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon is that it was built for Nebuchadnezzar's wife, Ametis, who came from Media, which is in modern-day Iran. And it was said that she longed for the forested mountains of her homeland. And this was made to recreate that and to plant those trees that one would find there as a way of alleviating her homesickness. And so as we talk about the city of Newcastle, Gateshead, and we think about Baltic's status as being a sanctuary space, and we think about the kind of duress that people who are refugees or asylum seekers are feeling in these moments where decisions are being made on their status and their lives are hanging in the balance, to think about what it means to be homesick for the place that you were forced to leave and to be homesick for the place where you're trying to stay.